We're going to continue with the digestive system. Well, on the last lecture, we left off going through the alimentary canal. We got down to the small intestines. So today we're going to pick up with the large intestines. There's actually several segments to the large intestines. There's the cecum, the appendix, the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, the sigmoid colon, and the rectum and the anal canal. These are just basically different sections of the colon. Starting at the cecum. Cecum is the beginning of the colon. Remember, the ileocecal valve connects the ileum of the small intestine to the cecum of the large intestine. So the ileocecal valve is the beginning of the large intestines. And close to the ileocecal valve is the appendix. You might remember that from when we did the human torso lab back in chapter 1. So the ileocecal valve, the appendix, and the cecum is all towards the proximal end of the large intestines. Then the large intestine travels upward. This is called the ascending colon, and it turns and goes across, and the colon going across is called the transverse colon, because the transverse is from left to right, or from right to left. And then after the transverse colon, the colon takes a turn downward, and it's called the descending colon. And as it gets to the bottom of the descending colon, it's kind of an S shape to the colon. It's called the sigmoid colon, which ends with the rectum and the anal canal. So again, as I said, cecum is the first part of the large intestine. The appendix is a massive lymphoid tissue. You recall that from the chapter we went over on the lymphatic system. The appendix is a bacterial storehouse. If the appendix is twisted, then bacteria accumulate and multiply and can cause appendicitis. There's mesenteries of the abdominal digestive system. Mesenteries are these layers of fat and blood vessels that connect from the intestines. This is where a lot of nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream from. This shows a picture of the greater omentum. You remember this one from the human torso lab. The greater omentum is here. In this case, it's flipped upward. Now into the rectum, there's 3 rectal valves that stop feces from being passed with gas. And the anal canal is the last segment of the large intestines. It opens to the body exterior of the anus. There's 2 anal sphincters. There's a smooth muscle sphincter, which is involuntary, and there's a skeletal muscle sphincter, which is voluntary. This is a picture of the anus, and you see the internal anal sphincter. Think of it as a circular muscle that goes around the anus. And the external anal sphincter, again, is circular muscle, and it goes around. The external anal sphincter is under voluntary control, so you control the timing of when you have to defecate. Now, although the bacterial flora is not really a part of the human body, these are microorganisms that live in the colon and in the gut. There's actually more bacteria that live in the gut than there are cells in the human body. And these bacterial flora do a variety of functions. They colonize the colon. They can synthesize vitamin such as B complex, vitamin K. They metabolize some molecules from the host. They ferment indigestible carbohydrates. They release irritating gas and acids. The title of the slide is Digestive Processes in the Large Intestine. Residue remains in the large intestine for 12 to 24 hours. There's no food breakdown in the large intestine except by the enteric bacteria or the bacterial flora. Vitamins, water, and electrolytes are reclaimed or reabsorbed in the colon. The major function of the colon is to propel feces to the anus and to defecate. The colon is not essential for life. People can live without a colon. The gastrocolic reflex is initiated when you have food in the stomach, and it activates powerful parasitic ways in the colon. You might notice that after you've eaten, it's very common to have a bowel movement. That's the gastrocolic reflex. And we'll move into some accessory organs of digestion, mainly the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas. The liver is the largest gland in the body. It has many functions. It's a filter. It metabolizes different medications and substances in the body. But it does have a digestive function. Its only digestive function is the production of bile. Bile is a fat emulsifier. What bile does, it takes large globs of fat and it breaks them into smaller units and allows them to flow through the GI tract and to be absorbed. The gallbladder, its chief function is to store bile and release the bile into the small intestines. There's a common hepatic duct that leaves the liver. There's a cystic duct that connects to the gallbladder, and the bile duct is formed by the union of the common hepatic and the cystic duct. Here's a picture of here's the common hepatic duct. We have the bile duct and the sphincter. Bile duct here, sphincter here, and the cystic duct is here. It's coming from the gallbladder. So the bile duct is made from the common hepatic duct and the cystic duct combined, and it releases the bile into the duodenum. Here's the bile emulsification I was talking about earlier. Bile salts are cholesterol derivatives that function in fat emulsification and absorption. You have a large fat globule. Let's say that you've had a fatty meal and you have this glob of fat. The bile salts come in and interact with this fat globule so that it separates them into individual smaller units surrounded by this bile salt. This is called emulsification, and so these fat droplets are singled out so that they can be absorbed and used by the GI tract. Now the pancreas is mainly retroperitoneal, in the retroperitoneal space. You might need to review chapter 1 if you don't remember what retroperitoneal means. It's deep to the greater curvature of the stomach. It has endocrine and exocrine function. It has endocrine function in that it releases insulin and glucagon from the pancreatic islet cells, and has exocrine function, which it releases pancreatic juice or digestive juices via the main pancreatic duct into the duodenum. This is a cartoon of the pancreas. You have SNR cells, which produce the digestive chemicals. They're released into a duct. And this is the endocrine portion of the pancreas, releasing into a duct. This is the exocrine function of the pancreas is uses a duct, which is then released into the duodenum. So just to make myself clear on this, exocrine function of the pancreas is when these acinar cells produce their digestive chemicals and release it into a duct. The duct then takes these chemicals and dumps it into the duodenum. The fact that it's a duct means it's an exocrine gland. Remember, endocrine glands don't have ducts. They dump their product directly into the bloodstream. Pancreatic juice can be 1,200 to 1,500 milliliters per day. It's a watery alkaline solution. It neutralizes the chyme. Remember, the chyme is the substance that's coming from the inside of the stomach into the small intestines. Pancreatic juice has electrolytes and has enzymes, mainly amylase, which breaks down fat, lipase breaks down fat, nucleases, which breaks down nucleic acids, proteases break down proteins. And this shows a picture of the pancreatic duct emptying its chemicals into the duodenum. We'll review the intestinal hormones. Remember, we studied the intestines on the last lecture. We studied the intestinal crypts, which are basically these deep pits where glands are producing hormones that release into the lumen of the GI tract. There's cholecystokinin, stimulates the contraction of the gallbladder and secretion of the pancreatic juice. Secretin inhibits the stomach and stimulates the pancreas and liver. Here's a sequence of events regarding the release of bile and pancreatic juice. First of all, we have the chyme enter the duodenum. Here's the enter the duodenum. It causes the endocrine cells in the duodenum to release cholecystokinin and secretin. Remember, so cholecystokinin stimulates contraction of the gallbladder and secretion of pancreatic juice. Secretin inhibits the stomach and stimulates pancreas and liver. This cholecystokinin and the secretin enter the bloodstream. So it's triggered to secrete based on this chyme in the duodenum, so it triggers these. Cholecystokinin then induces the secretion of pancreatic juice. Secretin causes the secretion of bicarb from pancreatic juice. Because remember, these hormones stimulate contraction of the gallbladder. Then once the secretin and cholecystokinin is released in the bloodstream, it stimulates the liver to produce bile more rapidly. The liver is stimulated by the hormones in the blood to produce bile, which is then released into the bile duct. Cholecystokinin then causes the gallbladder to contract and causes the hepatopancreatic sphincter to relax so that bile enters the duodenum. So this whole process allows for bile to enter the duodenum based on the chyme entering the duodenum. And the chyme is has fat molecules in it, so the bile is important for the digestion of fat from the chyme in the small intestines. Here's a summarization of the digestive tract, the different sections and the functions they have. It might be good to look over this. The mouth breaks up food particles, assists in producing language. The pharynx swallows. Salivary glands moisten and lubricate food. Amylase digests polysaccharides or complex sugars. Esophagus transports food to the stomach. Stomach stores and churns food. It digests proteins. Has hydrochloric acid, which activates enzymes, breaks up food, kills germs. The liver breaks down and builds many biological molecules, stores vitamin and iron, aids in digestion. The gallbladder stores and concentrates bile. Pancreas has hormones that regulate blood glucose activity. Also has trypsin and chemotrypsin digestive proteins that help digest the chyme. Amylase digests polysaccharides, and lipase digests lipids. Small intestines is an area where absorption occurs, mainly water and nutrients. Large intestine absorbs water, where feces is formed. Rectum is where the feces is stored and expelled. Anus is open for the feces. So this kind of summarizes the whole digestive tract. Some of the digestive enzymes that are worth looking at. Salivary amylase breaks down starch, and amylase means something that breaks down starch or complex sugars. Lingual lipase, think of as far as salivary gland. Lipase breaks down fat. So if you see the word lipase, think of lipid, that breaks down fat. Pepsin and trypsin and chemotrypsin all break down protein. Carboxypeptidase breaks down amino acids, which are the precursors for proteins. Pancreatic amylase, again here's amylase, breaks down starch. Just like salivary amylase is amylase in the salivary glands, pancreatic amylase is amylase released from the pancreas. Pancreatic lipase is released from the pancreas and it breaks down fat. Pancreatic nucleases breaks down DNA and RNA. There's, depending on the nutrient, the absorption is different for different nutrients. First of all, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and nucleic acids uses transport proteins in cell membranes. Remember, transport proteins are proteins that transverse the cell membrane, and they can, we saw that when we looked at the muscle and nerve action potential, how ions will travel back and forth from the outside to inside the cell through these transport proteins. There's a group of vitamins, vitamin C and B vitamins are water soluble. They're also absorbed through active or passive transport proteins in cell membrane. A water soluble vitamin is, when it comes to the lipid bilayer, the lipid bilayer is waterproof. So water soluble vitamins can't just flow into the cell. They have to be transported through active or passive transport via a protein. Fat soluble vitamins, on the other hand, can dissolve in fat, and so they can cross the lipid bilayer and enter the cell and enter and exit the cell pretty rapidly without the aid of a transport protein. Electrolytes use membrane pumps and transport proteins, and water just enters the cell through diffusion. There are 6 categories of nutrients: water, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, minerals, and vitamins. And this is a review of where we get this. Calcium comes from milk, fish, greens. Phosphorus from milk, beans, grains, and nuts. Sodium, processed foods. Chloride, processed foods. All processed foods just have salt in them. Magnesium comes from milk, greens, grains, nuts, legumes. Potassium comes from meat, banana, spinach, squash. Sulfur comes from meat, milk, eggs, and beans. Cholesterol is not used as an energy source. It's a structural basis of bile salts, steroid hormones, and vitamin D. It's a major component of plasma membranes. Plasma membranes throughout the body are made up of cholesterol. 15% of the blood, 15% of the cholesterol in the blood is ingested. The rest is made by the body, primarily the liver. So when you have your cholesterol checked and it's high, most of the high cholesterol comes from your liver, not necessarily from the food you eat. Cholesterol is transported by lipoproteins. These are water-soluble cholesterol and triglycerides in the blood, and they surround the cholesterol molecules and allow it to flow. Cholesterol is very lipid-soluble, and these lipoproteins make it more water-soluble, so it can flow through the bloodstream. And the higher the percentage of lipids, the lower the density. So LDLs, or low-density lipoproteins, have a low protein-to-lipid ratio, and they transport cholesterol into the cells. This is the bad cholesterol. HDLs are high-density lipoproteins. It collects and removes the excess cholesterol. This is considered the good cholesterol. So when you have your cholesterol checked, usually it's going to be the checking LDL and HDL types of cholesterol. HDL is the kind you want to have because it removes excessive cholesterol. LDL is typically the bad cholesterol.